But if you were the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Horwat, other than getting more nice haircuts like you have today,
Oh, thank you.
would you trade the first round pick?
Yeah, 1000%. It'd be out the door. I don't know with what. There's plenty of different options that you could trade that first round pick for, and how and with. But I don't think I would keep it around and be utilizing it at the draft table. Just even if you save it until draft day, and make the on the floor move, however you want to do it. I think whoever that first round pick may be at 14, it wouldn't be useless to the Penguins, but it wouldn't solve any current issues. I'd say it may as well be traded already.
Mm-hmm. When I look at first round picks and the way that they have been devalued, we've heard it from everybody we've put on this show as a guest over the past season. Jesse Marshall said it. Rob Rossi of The Athletic said it. Hunter Hodes of Locked On Penguins has said it. Doug Gladkey of Forechecking TV has said it. I talked to Josh Getzov of the Pittsburgh Penguins radio network. He said it. Metz, our good buddy, has said it. First round picks have been devalued, especially for teams that are looking to contend. At this point, they are just tools to get proven NHL talent to your roster. Look no further for evidence of that than the 2023 NHL trade deadline. 11 first-round picks traded. And I'm going to run down through the names of some of these players traded for a first-round pick. And you tell me if you would have thought ever in a million years that they'd be worth a first-round pick at the deadline. And keep in mind, most of these players fetched a first-round pick and more.
And then some, yeah.
Tyler Bertuzzi makes sense.
Yeah, I can.
Jacob Chikrin makes sense.
It definitely does.
Philip Roenick, a conditional first-round pick.
Eesh, ugly.
Vladislav Gavrikov and Jonas Korpisalo were a first-round pick, and Jonathan Quick. And more involved, I believe, as well in that deal.
That deal's an interesting one. It seems to have worked out, though. I don't know. That one's an interesting one.
Gavrikov is a pending free agent. That's another wrinkle in that one. Yeah. Rasmus Sandin.
I mean, he's playing like it, but no.
Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty, former Pittsburgh Penguin.
Never in a million years would I have thought Sam Lafferty be worth a first, but hey, here we are.
Or even involved in a trade with a first-round pick, unless it was strapped to him. Right?
I don't know what he did this year to gain that kind of attention, but hey, you know what? Good on him.
At the same time, though, he is the Blair County leading playoff goal scorer, right? Most playoff goals scored by anybody ever from Blair County in Pennsylvania.
Good for him. And what's really funny, though, is that you figure, hold on. They did trade him for a first-round pick. He's been healthy scratched, man.
He has been a couple times. We'll get into the Toronto Maple Leafs trade deadline when we talk about the general manager candidates. Tanner Jeannot, we all know what the Tampa Bay Lightning do.
Woo! That whole trade was a mishap.
Timo Meier makes sense, right? Don't really need to get into it too much on that one.
Yeah, that one makes sense, except for the fact that he has not produced at all in this playoffs.
He scored a goal in the last game or two.
Finally.
Games, whatever. I mean, he did get his face blown off by Jacob Trouba in Game 7, so he made an impact, but just not in a way that they were expecting when they traded a first-round pick. Dmitry Orlov, Garnett Hathaway, that makes sense in my eyes, especially considering you get two really good players for that first-round pick. Ryan O'Reilly, Nola Chari, I think that one made sense, especially considering the way that Ryan O'Reilly has performed in the playoffs for Toronto. And Bo Horvat, who was good in the regular season and also will be a New York Islander for years to come. So a lot of these players are good players that you're getting back for first-round picks, but it furthers the discussion that if you're a contending team, there's very little value to these first-round picks. If you're a rebuilding team, yes, they still have value, but you want to collect 2, 3, maybe even 4 first-round picks. We saw Arizona pick in the first round 3 times last season, including Logan Cooley at third overall, whatever it was. I believe it was second, but
somewhere up there.
If you're a contending team, it's very much not a value for you. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are hoping to be a contending team. So I would agree that if you're serious about being a contender, listen, I understand it. The prospect pool is barren. It's not there. But if you want to contend, next season, or if you want to contend in the next couple of seasons with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang still performing at the level they are, this first round selection doesn't make sense to stay in their hands.
No, it doesn't. Especially considering, like you said, where those players are in their careers. It's just about time for them to, have someone to play with now. I mean, it's always been that time, but this is different. And, you want to make the team younger. Obviously, that's going to be a huge part of it. But in most NHL drafts, outside of the top 5, how many of those players are cracking the team immediately?
Mhm. I mean, I have a list here of the recent 14th overall selections dating back to 2015, if you care to hear about what some of the names on this list are.
Yeah, and I'll hear them in just like a split second, but you have to look at, even last season. Last season was supposed to have a very deep draft.
Mhm.
Uri Slafkovsky made the team out of the draft. Simon Nemec went second overall. I pulled up the list for you. I haven't heard his name yet in the New Jersey Devils organization.
Mhm.
Logan Cooley, third overall. We know he went back to college. Shane Wright. Okay, well, that's a whole different situation, but he ended up not really cracking into the NHL right away
Mhm.
because circumstances. Cutter Gauthier, I forget if he played with the Flyers this year.
I don't think so. If he did, it was very limited. Like, he didn't play the entire season. I don't think he played more than half the season. If I had
Yeah.
to guess, I didn't watch much Flyers hockey or what.
Looks like he played in Boston College this past season. So no, like your top 5 draft picks are not normally cracking the roster right away. So
Mhm.
now that we're at 14, no, we need a guy who can play in this roster right now.
Mhm. And here's the thing with the 14th overall selection. And when I say these names, I'm not by any means saying that, especially in the last 3 seasons, these guys aren't a bust, especially last season, because you need time to see if this prospect is going to develop to judge whether or not they're a bust. But the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, in our eyes, if we were the GMs, you're not looking for 6 years down the line. You're not looking for 7 years down the line. You're looking for in this year or in the next couple of seasons, 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons. That's your window right now. And these players, most of them are not contributing in a factor that trading the pick would end up getting you a player that would contribute for, right? You trade the pick, the guy's going to contribute this season, probably the next couple of seasons. If you take the pick, probably not going to contribute in the next couple of seasons, nowhere close to what you're going to get for him. But 2022 was Rutger McGroarty. I really liked Rutger McGroarty in last year's draft process, knew he wasn't going to fall to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 20s. So we'll see what he ends up doing for Winnipeg. But again, just got drafted less than a calendar year ago. 2021, a name I've really, gonna not lie to you, never heard. Isaac Rosen to Buffalo.
Nope, never heard of it. And Buffalo, shocking, actually. They're full of young talent that has cracked the NHL.
Exactly. 2020, Dylan Holloway has played some time in Edmonton, has been a depth guy for Edmonton as a young player. I think he made it to the NHL last year during the playoff run, was like his first taste. But again, 3 years later, just getting his first tastes. 2019, Cam York to Philadelphia.
We know he's there now, but he hasn't been a huge. Oh, no one on that team has been a huge impact player yet. So
He's played a good bit this season for Philadelphia. This was his really, I think, first year playing at a substantial level, but look at where Philadelphia was.
yeah,
The Penguins are there in 4 years, then it's not going to make a difference whether or not you take the pick or trade the pick.
was Cam York one of those players I said we're going to be a problem for the Flyers for a very long time? I feel like
Yes.
he may have been.
Yes. Yeah. 2018 was the Flyers as well. Joel Farabee.
Well, we know he's there. So 4 years, right? Like that's kind of your. I
Before you
mean,
even get somebody to the NHL as a consistent contributor.
yeah, and of course, obviously a lot goes into, you know, scouts picking certain players. There's all kinds of factors that go
Yeah.
into it, but in the grand scheme of things, when you draft someone, like I said, outside of the top 5, usually you're
Mhm.
going to be waiting at least a year, 2, 3, maybe 4 until they actually crack the NHL. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, we picked 21 last year, but guys, we're not going to see Owen Pickering for a little bit still.
Oh, yeah.
He's just now, just up this upcoming season, going to break into North American hockey. He might not even last the entire year. You don't know. He might go back to Swift Current for a season or something. I don't
Yeah,
know how all that works, but
which is still North American, but I get what you're saying.
professional, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Um,
like, "Wait a minute."
I'm used to like the Europe. We've seen a lot of European prospects leave. I'm
Yeah,
used to
which is something yeah. Yeah, we'll
that's
talk
a,
about that in a different day.
yeah. But that being said, yeah, like we're not going to see Owen Pickering at the NHL level for we're coming up on the 23-24 season. Maybe not until 24-25, guys. And that's even just like for a sniff at the league. Like
Mhm.
these guys have to progress themselves into the NHL and barring a just skyrocketing potential, guys like Pickering or anyone else we pick at 14 isn't going to make it in right away.
Yeah. Just to close this out, 2017 was Cal Foote from Tampa Bay. 2016, the best player on this list, Charlie McAvoy to Boston. And 2015 was Jake DeBrusk to Boston when they had 14th, 15th, and 16th overall selections in a row. And
They held one of them.
DeBrusk was one of them. But yeah, Charlie McAvoy, the best player on this list. And yes, would it be nice for the Pittsburgh Penguins to select a potential Norris Trophy level defenseman at 14th overall this season? Yes. Do I want to wait till 2030 to see him reach that potential? Not particularly, considering the actual circumstances of the Pittsburgh Penguins right now.